Welcome to NFL World, where the NFL starts and ends. I'm your host, Jacob. And we got a good one for you today. We're going to do a mock draft. Now, I understand the draft already happened. Little backstory. We were going to do a mock draft. Me and Lucas were on the What to Play podcast. It didn't happen because I got sick. He was working. Our schedules couldn't align. So we decided to do it post-draft. He started working more. Our schedules couldn't align. So I'm going to bring it to you here because we were just going to scrap the whole idea. What we're going to do is this mock draft I have it written on paper, was done March 10th. So I have not touched this since. Due to the fact that the teams have already selected their players, I'll read off the team who I thought they were going to select, who the team actually selected. So number 1, we had the Tennessee Titans with the first overall pick selecting Cam Ward. The Titans actually did select Cam Ward. Why? They told us this 2 months ago. They loved the player. He got better at every place he went when he was a zero-star recruit to how he ended up at University of Miami after going to junior college and a couple other college programs. He goes to University of Miami, tears it up. I thought the Titans would go more of an accuracy quarterback instead of a guy who can just truck the long ball. But they chose, no, let's go with Cam Ward. He has more upside, and he can chuck 50-yard passes to Calvin Ridley all day long. Okay. So we're good there. This is where it starts falling apart for me. I didn't get many right. The second overall pick was the Cleveland Browns. Before they traded out, I had them selecting Abdul Carter. Why? I thought they needed help to help Myles Garrett, who they just paid. And I was like, this is going to be a guy who can help. He's big, he's long, he's a game wrecker. The Browns traded out of that position. Jacksonville trades up, trades a boatload to get to pick 2, and they select Travis Hunter. Love the pick by the Jaguars because it's almost like cheating. You got a receiver and a cornerback all rolled into one. It's like having 54 players instead of 53 on your team. Now, the Jaguars seem committed to having sides. How is that going to work during the actual game? I don't know. Maybe he's more of a offensive player and less of a defensive player. Maybe he's more of a defensive player than an offensive player. Maybe they even do, okay, you're a cornerback on defense all the time, but you're a third down and red zone wide receiver. Maybe that's what they do. That's what I do. I think that makes the most sense. And I do think that benefits Jacksonville and benefits him the most. But I love the pick by Jacksonville. The Giants were next up at pick 3. The third pick of the first round. I had them selecting Shedeur Sanders because I thought they were going to do the Chicago Bears thing, where the Bears hire a coach, they have a quarterback there, they go 2 years with that coach and that quarterback pairing, it falls apart, the quarterback gets let go, gets released, that coach drafts a new talented quarterback, they go until like November, December, the coach gets fired, another coach is brought in, the cycle starts all over again. I thought the Giants were going to do that because Daniel Jones is gone. They don't have a starter. They brought in Russell Wilson. I know they brought in Jameis Winston, but I thought they could still possibly do this for the future. Brian Daboll's on his last legs as at least the head coach in New York. Maybe as a head coach in the NFL, but at least in New York, I believe he is. So I understood if they didn't want to do that, but I couldn't rule it out. So I had them selecting Shedeur Sanders. They ended up selecting Abdul Carter. Again, he's a game wrecker. He destroys the world. And that rotation now with him, Brian Burns, Kayvon Thibodeau, that's going to be a great trio of pass rushers you got. Can you get them all on the field at one time and make it happen? We'll see how creative they are in New York. But I love the pick. I just would have went with quarterback there. The Patriots were the 4th pick in the first round. I had them selecting Travis Hunter with the 4th pick because I thought Travis was going to be there. I thought the pairing of him and Christian Gonzalez plus pairing him with Stephon Diggs would be excellent for Drake May and that Patriots team as a whole. That's why I thought they would do it. They decided, no, we're going to go Will Campbell. We're going to block. We're going to have a great offensive line. This is a Mike Vrabel pick through and through, and I love it. I love this pick. You need offensive line help. You have an awful offensive line. Your left tackle was okay, but your right tackle was a joke. It didn't work. It never worked. You tried, it failed miserably. So, I like the pick of Will Campbell. The one concern of Will Campbell, you heard this a lot coming out for the draft, was he's got short arms. And what happens when offensive linemen have short arms, they tend to lunge more to try to get their hands on the guy. Because if you have longer arms, you make it... Offensive linemen hate space. They hate it. But if I can get my hands on you if you're far away, I'm okay with that. Will Campbell, due to the fact his arms are a little shorter, he has to lunge more, which could cause problems because defensive ends, especially faster defensive ends, can get by you. They won't let you get to their chest. They'll just get right by you, which could cause problems. He didn't have any problems at LSU this year. So maybe it will work for him in the pros, but it has to be something to monitor. The 5th overall pick was Jacksonville before they traded up. I actually had them selecting Mason Graham. So I was right at what pick he was going to get drafted. I was wrong with the team. The reason I thought Jacksonville would do it, Hines Allen, defensive line. I thought Mason Graham gave him the best chance to do that because he's athletic, he's a good run stopper, he's a good pass rusher. It was just a great fit for Jacksonville, but they traded up to Travis Hunter, who's a really good fit, a really great fit for them. The Browns select Mason Graham, so they do help out Myles Garrett with interior pass rush ability. I'm actually interested to see what Jim Schwartz does with Mason Graham. That's going to be fun to watch. Next up, I actually got this one right. The Las Vegas Raiders select Ashton Jeanty. We did a video on Ashton Jeanty on the channel. It was in our Superstar series. Ashton Jeanty was one of the first videos we did. He's a big guy. You saw the pictures at his pro day and at the combine. He's a big guy. He is massive. And he has great contact balance. It's hard to get him to the ground. He has great balance in general. He's quick and he's fast, which are two different things. He needs to work a little bit more on trying not to bounce everything outside. But other than that, he's going to be great in the game. And this is a Pete Carroll pick. This is a Raiders pick, and I love it. Pete Carroll drafts a running back or multiple running backs every year. He does it every year. The Raiders always draft someone with speed. That is the thing they like. Speed kills, as Al Davis used to say. They did it here. I love this pick. This is a Raiders pick. This is a Pete Carroll pick. It fits the team. It's a great for them. Great to them to stick to their board. The Jets. I actually got this one right too. They drafted Armand Membou, the offensive lineman. Membou was out of, let me make sure I got Mizzou. Here we go. I wrote it down. He was out of the University of Missouri. This is your youth movement of the offensive line. Did Olu Fashanu last year. He didn't play a lot because you had Tyron Smith, you have Morgan Moses. It didn't really work. This is your youth movement. You got to get these guys to play a lot. So there's a little concern about the youth on the offensive line, but it should be all right. Both these guys are great athletes, but Membou was probably the best athlete at the tackle position in the draft. It was him and Will Campbell. That was it. And it doesn't surprise me they were close to each other. Panthers on the clock. So I had the Panthers taking Jalen Walker, the defensive end out of Georgia. And because I thought they need defensive end help. They got to help on that defensive side. And they did later in the draft, but they drafted a wide receiver. They drafted Teroa McMillan, which I was bummed by because Teroa McMillan's the best receiver in the draft. Big guy, plays above the rim, does everything well, good hands, doesn't body catch, catches with his hands, does a great job, very fluent. He's quicker than fast, but he does break tackles, so you're okay with it. I thought McMillan would go to the Saints or even fall out of the top 10, but he fell to 8 and they took him. So I get it's a great pick by the Panthers. Just thought they were going to go defense. That's all. The Saints, I had them taking Teroa McMillan out of Arizona. They ended up selecting Kelvin Banks, which was a surprise, by my opinion, but it shouldn't have been. I had them going McMillan because they needed wide receiver help. Outside of Olave and Shaheed, they don't really have a big guy. Olave is a smaller guy. Shaheed's a fast guy. They don't have a guy who can play above the rim. So I thought they were going to go that route. They ended up going Kelvin Banks, an offensive lineman, an offensive tackle who might play guard in the NFL to begin his career. This is your Ryan Ramczyk replacement. Because Taylor Penning's not great. This is your replacement. He played at Texas, big guy, moves very well. Just thought he wasn't going to go this high. Let's go to the Bears, who I had them selecting Will Campbell. I thought that would fix them offensive line-wise. I thought the weakest part of this Bears team is their offensive line. They need to fix it. They did kind of fix it. They traded for Joe Thuney, which was a great trade for them. I thought they were going to go into that direction and take Will Campbell. They said, no, we're going to draft a tight end, Colston Loveland out of Michigan. This is the biggest I don't know why pick. Because Colston Loveland, I don't even think was the best tight end on the board. I really don't think he was the best tight end on the board. He was okay. But he was like my second ranked tight end. And he went at 10. And they also have Cole Kmet, which I couldn't quite understand why they went tight end in the first round. I thought they had other needs. But they'll go tight end. Next up, San Francisco 49ers. I had them selecting Kelvin Banks at pick 11. Why? Because I thought they need offensive line help. They lost Banks, Aaron Banks. Kelvin Banks could have just slotted right in at guard because he also has some arm-length troubles. And he does hold a little bit. So I thought making a move to guard would help him a little bit in the beginning of his career. They end up going another way. They go with Mykel Williams, the pass rusher out of Georgia. I like Mykel Williams. I like him. Didn't play a lot because he got it. But I like him. I think this is a great pairing with Nick Bosa. This is your Leonard Floyd replacement. They play very similarly too. So I think this works both. I like the pick. It was a good pick. It helps with a need that they did have. Next up, Dallas Cowboys. I had them selecting a wide receiver, Matthew Golden, out of Texas. Why? Tall guy who could run. Something the Cowboys did not have and did not have at that time. They don't have a guy who is a tall guy who can run. Like, they have tall guys that are like, they run 4.6. Okay, fast, but not extremely fast. They had a lot of small guys who could run 4.4s, but they're small. This was a guy who was 6'2" who could run fast. You're like, okay, they're going to go that way. And it looked like they were. And then they selected Tyler Booker, the guard out of Alabama. And I got to admit, I was not pleased with it. I thought, why would we go guard? Because, first of all, we go guard, which I don't understand. Why would the Cowboys go guard? I know because they already had 15 offensive linemen on their roster. Why would they go guard in the first round? I didn't understand it. I also didn't understand why they are obsessed with drafting people named Tyler, because it's over and over again. Last year, a guy named Tyler. Offensive line. So now they got 3 Tylers. They're going legit. It's going to go Tyler Guyton, Tyler Smith, Cooper Beebe, which we could force him to change his name, Tyler Booker, Terrence Steele, which we could force that. It's pretty close. We can force it. It could be just the Great Wall of Tyler. But it was a good choice. I like his attitude. Honestly, once I heard that the Cowboys were trying to trade back and they couldn't because they couldn't get the value, and they just decided to select him there because they weren't going to be able to get back to in the mid-20s, I understood it, and I was like, okay, I feel better about it. And after what they did post-draft, going after wide receiver, I was okay with it. Just wouldn't have done it at the time. Dolphins, up on the clock. They actually selected the guy I thought they were going to, Kenneth Grant. This is, I said, your Christian Wilkins replacement. Big guy. He's not a sacker. He's a run block. He's a run defending guy. He's a run stop defensive tackle. But he has pass rush ability. It took Christian Wilkins a long time to get before he became that. So give him some time and let him get there. This is your Christian Wilkins replacement. I like it. The Colts selected my best tight end in the draft. I had the Colts selecting Will Johnson, the cornerback out of Michigan. He had health issues. His knee is a concern. So he only got drafted rounds later. They ended up selecting Tyler Warren, the best tight end in the draft, in my opinion, because he's a run blocker. He makes plays. He gets separation. He catches very well. He's a third down presence. That's something the Colts like. Because if you look at the way he talks about things, the way he decides about things, it's very much like Dallas Clark. It's very, very articulate. It's very specific. And I love this about him. You could tell the Colts were impressed by him. It's a great pick. I just thought they were going to go Will Johnson because I thought, maybe help out on the other cornerback positions. And plus, he fell to you. I had the Atlanta Falcons taking Michael Williams actually down here. So he went a lot earlier than I thought. They ended up taking Jalen Walker, the other Georgia pass rusher, who I thought was going to go way earlier. He ended up going to 15. It happens in the draft. For whatever reason, guys slide. You don't know why. You just wait. And he slid to 15. It's a good choice by the Falcons. The Falcons need pass rush help. It wasn't a shocker that the Falcons got him, then traded up to get another pass rusher. Wasn't a shock to me. They need pass rush help. They got it. It's a good choice. Falcon. With pick 15, pick 16 is the Arizona Cardinals. I had them taking Shamar Stewart. They needed interior pass rush ability. Plus, Shamar Stewart was a freakish athlete who just has a lot of untapped potential, or else, I don't know, there's something it said during the draft process saying he looks like Tarzan, but he plays like Jane. Which is, he looks the part, but he doesn't play like it. That's a problem. The Cardinals ended up selecting Walter Nolan, the defensive tackle out of Mississippi. The defensive tackle out of Ole Miss, he's been good, a little inconsistent, but he does help. It worked for them. I thought that was a good choice for them. And bring back Calais Campbell, teach Nolan the ropes. I like the choice. It was a good choice. The Bengals were next on the clock at pick 17. I had them taking James Pierce Jr. I thought they needed pass rush help to help out Trey Hendricks. Or if they traded away Trey Hendricks, I thought they needed pass rush help. They ended up going with Shamar Stewart. Now, James Pierce had some character concerns. So there was that. There was a reason he went later in the draft. Shamar Stewart, I like his athletic traits. He's a big guy. He's got long arms, but he doesn't play very well. He has 4.5 sacks in his college career. Period. Not a season, a career. So I didn't think it was the best. But they did help a need, and they needed to go defense. They had nothing from their defense last year. Next up, Seattle Seahawks. I had them taking Josh Simmons. I thought he was going to go there. Simmons coming off the partial tear in his knee or knee shin area. They ended up not going that way. I thought Simmons was a great athlete when he was playing. He got hurt. He should be ready to go by camp. Seattle Seahawks decided to go with the kid from North Dakota State, Greg Zabel. Greg Zabel, who they need guard help. They were bad. They're bad on the offensive line in Seattle. They got to get better. This was a good choice. Just went to a smaller school, so you're a little concerned about that. When you go to an FSU school, you can always get a little concerned. Next up, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I had them selecting Mike Green. Mike Green had character concerns. He was very public about it. He said, look, there's allegations against me. I'm not going to say that there isn't. There is. And they're very serious allegations. I want to be open and upfront with that. Which I appreciated that he made that public. Because it was, and he did talk about it. He didn't have to. A lot of them don't. But he talked about it in his combine interview. So, you did have character concerns. And I thought, okay, Todd Bowles could fix him and get him on the straight and narrow. They chose to go a different way, and they actually went wide receiver, Emeka Egbuka. I was surprised, first of all, Emeka Egbuka went this early. I was also surprised he went before Matthew Golden. Because I was like, why would they go wide receiver? Godwin, McMillan, Evans. They have these guys. Evans is going to be a future Hall of Famer. Maybe you feel like he's not going to play much longer. Godwin's coming off the injury, so I get it from that perspective. But you have McMillan, who's a really good young receiver. I was just surprised that they went Emeka Egbuka. But he's a great player out of Ohio State. He gets separation. He gets open on third downs. It's hard to slow him down. He finds a way to get a first down. He just knows where the first down line is. It sounds simple, but it's the little things that make you a great player. Emeka Egbuka is going to be a great player. I just didn't see him going to Tampa Bay. Pick 20 was the Denver Broncos. I actually had them selecting Emeka Egbuka because I thought they needed wide receiver help. They needed a second wide receiver to be paired with Sutton. And they didn't go that way. Cortland Sutton, I thought would have been a great pairing with him and Emeka Egbuka. They do different things well. Egbuka breaks a lot of tackles, but he gets open. Sutton plays above the rim, but also finds a way to create great separation. They ended up going defensive back. They went Jahdae Barron, the kid out of Texas. I love this kid. This is a kid that loves to play the game. This and Maxwell Harrison were my two best corners. Not two best slot corners, two best corners. I thought Will Johnson was a better athlete than they were. But these two guys, Harrison and Barron, were my two best corners. They were that good. They're that talented. They love to tackle. They love to play in the run game. They're aggressive. They have the mindset of a slot corner, which is, I'm going after you every chance I get. I love this choice. This is the recreation of the no-fly zone in Denver. I love this choice. Moss on one side, Surtain on the other side, and then you got Jahdae Barron as the slot. It's going to be hard to throw against him, and I love it. I love this choice by the Denver Broncos. Steelers. I had them selecting Omarion Hampton. I thought they'd go running back at pick 21. They chose not to. They went with Derek Harmon, the defensive tackle, which shouldn't surprise anybody. That's the most Pittsburgh Steelers pick ever. I'll explain. My example was they got rid of Harris. They needed a running back to pair with Tyler Warren. I thought Omarion Hampton and Tyler Warren were very similar players. I thought that was the route they were going to go. And I say, okay, that's a great 1-2 punch because it's not like you go in and Warren's a shifty guy and Hampton's fast and he's shifty, but he's also a powerful guy. That would pair very well. They didn't go that way. They went defensive tackle, which I get. Cam Ward's getting up in years. Derek Harmon is a typical Pittsburgh Steeler. That's the way he plays. But I was surprised the Steelers did not go offense or running back in that situation. Or quarterback, to be honest with you. If you had told me that at that point in the draft, Shedeur Sanders is going to be there at pick 21 and the Steelers have a chance to go grab him and they choose not to, and they choose not to go offense in general, I would have been like, why? Just why? It wouldn't be like, you're crazy. It would be why. Why wouldn't they go and do that? They go Derek Harmon, who is a good athlete out of Oregon. He's just, this is a replacement for Cam Hayward. That's all this is. Does that mean he's going to be impactful year one? Is going to be a real question, though, that has to be asked. Chargers at pick 22. I had them taking Colston Loveland. I thought pairing him at tight end fit. First of all, Michigan guy. Jim Harbaugh, coach at Michigan, think he would take a Michigan guy. That's number one. Number two, I thought he would be a great run blocker at the tight end position. Because that's what he mostly did in college. He was a run blocker. Not really much of a pass catcher. He didn't follow that, though. He went way earlier. And the Chargers, it was actually told that the Chargers were going to jump back later in the draft. They were going to try to trade down with the Eagles. And the Eagles were just about to take Jahad Campbell, which we'll get into a little bit later. But the Chargers are, wait, Omarion Hampton's right there? No, we're going to nix the trade. We're going to just take Omarion Hampton. So that's what they did. Hampton, great athlete. He is probably, it was such a, in any running back class, he would have been the number one running back. That's how good he was. He just ended up being in the same draft class as Ashton Jeanty. That's all that happened. He was the second best running back. But it wasn't by a whole lot. It's just Ashton Jeanty was just so impressive. And Hampton was just a little shorter on that spectrum. That's all. Packers on the clock. I had the Packers taking Jahdae Barron. Jahdae Barron was because I thought a slot corner and whatever else happens with Jair Alexander, that would benefit you, that you would be okay. They chose not to go in that direction. They chose to go wide receiver, Matthew Golden. Now, this is the first time the Packers have selected a wide receiver in the first round in over 20 years. Jalen Walker, not this Jalen Walker that we had earlier. Jalen Walker was drafted by the Packers, if I remember correctly. It was 2002. 2002. No one remembers Jalen Walker. Nobody. They went 23 years, 22, 23 years before drafting another wide receiver. They were so happy. The draft was done in Green Bay. They were so happy. They were jumping for joy. They couldn't get them to be quiet for the next pick. It just couldn't happen. They were so excited. Because they're like, thank you. Thank you. And the reason you did this was because you don't know when Christian Watson's coming back. He hurt his knee. You don't know when he's coming back. So, if he can even come back next year. So, you made this move. This was a good choice. I thought he was going to be at pick 12. He ends up falling 9 picks later to the Packers, and the Packers took him. This made Packers fans jump for joy. They were so excited. This was a Christmas in April for them. Pick 24 for the Minnesota Vikings. I had them taking Jahad Campbell. I really did. They didn't. They go offensive lineman Donovan Jackson out of Ohio State. They did this. He can play guard and tackle. He can do both. You did this to help out. The Vikings offensive line was not that good. But you did this also to make sure, like, whenever Christian Darrisaw does come back, that you pair him with the best people as possible. That's what you did. And I do think this was a really good pick, especially at this position of the draft. Giants trade up into the 25th pick, but before they did, I had the Houston Texans taking Luther Burden. The Texans dropped back. They ended up selecting a wide receiver anyway, but I had them taking Luther Burden, the Texans, because I thought they need somebody to be paired with Nico Collins, and I thought Luther Burden did a really good job. I also did not expect Matthew Golden to last that long, so I thought Luther Burden would go right off the board late in the first round. He ended up not. The Giants traded up to pick 25 and selected Jackson Dart. So they did draft a quarterback just 22 picks later than I thought they were. Look, Jackson Dart is like Zach Wilson. Makes some wild plays, but other plays you're left scratching your head like, what is he doing? He's the biggest upside quarterback since Zach Wilson. That's what it is. And you're hoping Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston and Brian Daboll, they can mold him in some way. You just hope that he doesn't have to play this year. This is a complete, you did this like the way the Packers did it with Jordan Love, where they wanted an extra year to mold the guy. That's why you did it. So for that, I understand it, but I thought this was way too early. I also didn't think you had to trade up for him. I thought he was going to be there in round 2. Potentially even later than that. Falcons, they traded up. But before the Falcons traded up, I had the Los Angeles Rams taking Tyler Booker. Because I thought they needed offensive line help. They had so many offensive lineman injuries last year. So I was like, they're going to take Tyler Booker because they want to build that depth. And Booker does have the ability to play as a starter right away. But they'll use him for depth in the beginning. The Rams end up trading back with the Falcons. Falcons traded up and they select James Pierce Jr., another pass rusher. They needed pass rush help. They were so bad at pass rush help. They needed pass rush help so much. Matthew Judon was the only guy who did anything. And Judon wasn't even that great in Atlanta. But he was the only guy who could do anything. So the drafting of Pierce here at pick 26, and then the drafting of, I want to make sure, the drafting of Jalen Walker at pick, let's see here, pick 16, and then the drafting at James Pierce at pick 26 was good. Character concerns, yes. But it's a good choice. Baltimore Ravens at pick 27. I had them selecting Walter Nolan. I thought him and Madubuike would be a great pairing in Baltimore and would fit with what Baltimore likes to do on defense. But I was like, they're going defense here. They're going to go defense, and they're going to select the best player that's still on the board. They did that. Just ended up not being Walter Nolan. Ended up being Malachi Starks, the kid out of Georgia. We did a video on him. Go check it out. Starks was the best player from the SEC who just fell in the draft. It just happens. He went to the University of Georgia. He's more of a strong hitting safety. He's not a free safety. It's not what he is. I wonder how they pair that with Kyle Hamilton, who likes to operate kind of everywhere, so we'll see how that works. But I do like the choice. I thought it was a great choice. Detroit Lions at pick 28. I had them selecting, actually, Malachi Starks, to be honest with you. I have it written down here. I don't know if you can see that. Poor lighting, but it's down there at the bottom of the page. Thought he would fit. Putting him at Branch would be absolutely electric. And then having Kirby Joseph, I thought would be awesome. You could have Brian Branch play nickel corner. It would have been great. They ended up going defensive tackle. Tyreek Williams. And this was like, from a lot of insiders, this was their second choice. They wanted Tyler Booker. And Tyler Booker went to the Cowboys. So they did not like that. They need defensive tackle help. They got so injured on defensive. And then when McNeil went down for the season, who knows when he's going to come back. Williams can just slot right in and hopefully be really good for them. Next up, Washington Commanders at pick 28. I had them actually taking Derek Harmon. I thought pairing him with Kinlaw after losing Allen would be lethal in the interior. They chose to go a different way. They actually went offensive line and took Josh Connolly Jr., the offensive tackle out of Oregon, who, surprised would be the word I'd use, because they traded for Larry Tunsil. They didn't have a lot of draft picks to go offensive line, where I was a little shocked. But I get it. They need some offensive line help. I just thought they could have gone somewhere else with that pick. I thought they had glaring needs. Bills. I had them taking Donovan Ezeraku, the defensive end out of Boston College. They ended up going Maxwell Harrison, which kind of shocked me. They have Tremaine Johnson. So unless they are saying Tremaine Johnson's going to play more outside corner, it shocked me. But I love Harrison. I love how he plays the game. Very aggressive, very talented. He goes after you. He has that slot cornerback mentality. I love everything about the kid. I just didn't think he was going to go to Buffalo. Now, the Eagles traded up with the Chiefs. They traded up one spot. And the Eagles, I had taking at pick 32. But I'll get into that in a momentarily. I had the Kansas City Chiefs taking. Hang on. But at pick 31, before the Eagles had traded up, I had the Chiefs taking Nick Emmanwori, the safety out of South Carolina. Because I just thought he's going to be a great player. He can do so many things. He has great ball skills for a guy that is a safety. I thought he would be really good at it in Kansas City, pairing him with McDuffie in the secondary would be good, and replacing Justin Reed as well. But the Eagles traded up and taking Jahad Campbell. They wanted Jahad Campbell. I told you that earlier. They were trying to trade up. They tried to trade up. They tried to trade up with the Chargers. They tried to trade up again, and it didn't. They just wasn't working. But Jahad Campbell just kept falling, and he had that shoulder issue. People thought he could even just slide out of the first round, but he would have been a top prospect. He was probably the best middle linebacker in the draft, but there was so much best of everything going in the first round. Someone was in the first round. Thought that was going to be Jahad Campbell. Eagles pick him up at pick 31. It's a great choice by Howie Roseman. Pick 32, the Chiefs were on the clock after trading with the Eagles. I had the Eagles, though, taking Jackson Dart. The Eagles did go quarterback later in the draft, which is where I was coming with this, because they had traded Kenny Pickett. But I had them taking Jackson Dart because I thought Jalen Hurts is going to be the quarterback, and Jackson Dart can learn from him. But then with the Chiefs trading back to pick 32 and taking offensive tackle Josh Simmons, who was still on the board, Simmons, again, should be ready for camp. They needed an offensive tackle. I didn't have him take an offensive tackle. But I thought maybe they'll take offensive tackle in the second round. They end up taking Josh Simmons. We'll see when he's ready to go. He's sliding in at left tackle to start, by the way, because we don't have anyone. We were not good at tackle last year. We had so many problems. Mahomes got hit a lot. We need help. They took Josh Simmons, who, like I said, he played well when he played. He just got hurt. But when he was playing, they didn't play top-tier competition either. So it needs to be talked about from that perspective. Will he be ready to go week 1? Yes. Does he start? He probably probably should. But I'm curious to see how the season shakes out for Josh Simmons. But that is the mock draft I had for 2025. Let me know in the comment section what you would have graded it as. And also, were you happy with how your team selected in the NFL draft? Let me know in the comment section down below. And while you're there, like and subscribe and share the video. It's all free. Helps us out a ton. For NFL World, I'm Jacob Hebert.